All right, so this is a Renegade broadcast, and I'm super pumped to be bringing it to you. What I'm going to be talking about today, and right now, it'll actually be the Simply Cyber video tomorrow, is 5 beginner cybersecurity certifications that I want to let you know about. I'm going to explain what all of them are. I'm going to explain why you'd want to get them. Because I want you to, and if you're going to spend money on something like certification, I wanted to map to whatever your path is, because I don't want you to spend money on something that's going to have no return on your investment, right? So the whole thing is there's going to be 5. I'm going to tell you them right now, right? Just so you can know what they are, because I want to have a constructive conversation. This isn't like a bait and switch thing where I'm trying to like tease you to keep your attention. In no particular order: Security Plus, INE's EJPT, or e-learning securities EJPT, the Isaka Sysa, the Microsoft Azure Az500, which maps to the security engineer associate role for Azure, and we'll talk about that in a second. And the 5th one is the new Cyber Mentors Pnpt practical network penetration tester. I've got a deck. We're going to go through all of these, and I'm going to explain to you which ones you need and why you're going to go for it. Okay, so let's just dive right in. Where's my thing here? Okay, here we are. Check it out. All right, so those of you who don't know, and I'll put a link in the chat right now for this. Give me this. This is like this awesome cybersecurity resource. Check this out. If you guys haven't seen this before, bookmark it, because this thing is next level sick. Check this out. All right, I just dropped it in chat. This thing is, Paul Jeremy maintains it, and I know you can't see it, but this is why there's so much information in here, right? This is like basically almost all of the cybersecurity certs in the industry mapped by both skill or experience. So the lower levels are junior and the top levels are more senior. And then the verticals are mapped towards actual role, right? So red on the far right is offensive security. Blue, which is defensive, those are the SecOps one. Black is like more governance, risk, and compliance. Orange is engineering and stuff like that. So this resource, book it. I'm telling you, this resource is sick. And the ones that we're going to be going through here today are on this list. Cyber Mentors Pnpt may not be on here, but I guarantee you it's going to be on here if it's not already, right? So let's get into the actual certs. So, oh, by the way, really quick, who am I? Why do I even speak about cybersecurity certs, right? So, you know, I've been in the industry for 17 years. This is just some of the certifications I have. Some of them are on the list today, right? I've taken certification exams. I've done the practical ones. I've done the multiple choice ones. I have gone through all of them. Okay. Like I'm very familiar with what the industry is like when it comes to certs and the pain points too. Right. And we'll talk about those pain points in a minute, but I just want to let you know that like I'm speaking from experience. This isn't just like an opinion. This is, based on fact. Right. Really quick, I'll just skip over this. If you don't know who I am, Simply Cyber, check it out. It's a great YouTube channel. I love it. Okay. So check this out. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the job outlook for information security analysts is actually mapped for 31% between 2019 and 2029, right? So this is massive. We're talking a 1/3 growth in the industry of jobs, right? This field, it's not going away. It's even becoming more and more important as ransomware goes all buck wild and businesses are investing more. They're actually seeing the value of information security, not as a cost center, but as a business enabler. What does that mean, Jerry? Those are just buzzwords. Okay, let me tell you something. If I tell you that I can enable you to collaborate with third parties and use single sign-on, so you only have one username and password for all of your staff, regardless of what application they're using, that's a powerful thing, right? Now your staff only needs to know one thing, and that's because of this, kind of SAML authentication, single sign-on integration type stuff, right? That's an example, right? If you're not spending money on downtime because you've been impacted by an incident, then you're making money, right? You're not down, you're up making money. Again, information security is doing that for the business. So it's no surprise that there's just massive job growth on the horizon for us, right? Oh, hey, what's up, Benoit? Love it, love it. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. And if you're watching this Renegade broadcast, what's up, Denmark? I'm super pumped. Like I didn't promote this, so you're catching this kind of raw and uncut. Now let's get back into the slide deck here. So the very first one, Security Plus, right? Now, I know you guys have probably heard this till you're blue in the face, but there's a reason that everybody always mentions it. Security Plus is basically your entry-level base certification. It's not going to go into depth on anything. First, understand that. The whole point of the Security Plus is it is a primer for foundational concepts in the industry, right? And some of the concepts they lay out here, let me see if I can pull this up, right? Attacks and vulnerabilities. So like, I guess threat and vulnerability management, like what's a vulnerability, what's an exploit, what are attacks, who's your threat actors, how do they do it, right? They do IR and operational stuff. So this is the blue side of the house. Thank you. I'm cleared hot. I love it. So operational incident response, like how does a security program work, right? So that's important. Architecture and design, like what's the kind of overall view, right? So with architecture and design, it's like, okay, this is what it looks like. You have a SIM, right? And it's ingesting logs from all your endpoints, which also have EDR agents on them, which is endpoint detection and response. And it's going across your network. And here's what like the perimeter of your network looks like in a DMZ. Nothing on the Security Plus is going to go into great depth on anything. But when you have a Security Plus, you're basically indicating that you understand foundational cybersecurity concepts. So this is why everybody says, this is kind of your basic entry level certification, right? Now, what I want to tell you is I wrote this all down. The Security Plus is currently $370, which is kind of on the higher end, but like right in the middle range of expensive as far as the 5 certs that I'm going to be covering today go, right? Now, what's also kind of crappy but common in the industry is that the Security Plus has an annual maintenance fee, which is basically like an extortion fee for you to keep your certification active or current, right? Now, I'm going to tell you 2 things. One, I don't know what that fee is because when I got mine, they didn't have it yet. And if they still had it, I probably wouldn't renew it because I don't need a Security Plus anymore for my career. But if you can't afford, this goes for any certification. If you cannot afford to maintain your certification, that's fine. What I would encourage you to do is on your resume, put Security Plus or Sscp or whatever cert you have, and then next to it, put expired. Because me as a hiring individual, if I'm hiring someone, one of you onto my team, and it says Security Plus expired, as a practitioner who's fully aware of the crap that the industry does with the maintenance fees, I'm just going to say this person obviously passed a Cert Plus, a Sec Plus at some point. They understand that knowledge. I don't care if your cert is active or not. It does make a difference in the DoD space, but we won't get into that, right? Yeah, I mean, Harish, welcome to the talk. The whole thing I'm doing right now is giving you the 5 best entry-level certs, right? I don't know about free. You're not going to find any free entry-level certs. I mean, the whole idea of a certification body is that they're putting the work in to do this. So you're not going to find free certs. You will find, if you check out Josh Mason's Cyber Supply Drop, they are giving vouchers and stuff that will get you access to the test for free. So that's one mechanism, but you're not going to just find a certification body giving out free certs, right? Okay, so check it out. That's Security Plus. If anyone, so we're going to get into Azure, Maria. Azure's not free, right? Azure actually, it depends on what exam you want in Azure. Stay tuned. We're going to get into Azure in a few minutes. All the training is free. All the training is free. The cert is not free. And we'll get into that in a minute. So keep the questions coming in. If you guys do me a favor, please, can you put a Q or like a couple Qs at the beginning of your question, because my comment stream is just like a stream. I can't flag things or color code them. So I want to answer your questions, but it's going to be hard for me to go back. Okay. So, and I'll get into that in a minute. Okay. So here, let me put a little banner in here too. Here, let's do that. Make it look good. Okay. So let's get back to the talk here. Number 2. Cyber Mentors Pnpt, Practical Network Penetration Testing. Many of you may not have heard of this one yet, okay? And this is because Cyber Mentor just released this maybe 6 months ago, right? And basically, the 2 of our exams that we're going to be, or 2 of our certifications we're going to be talking about are specifically for penetration offensive security testing. The first one, Sec Plus, is kind of generic. This is one of the 2 that's totally focused on penetration testing. Okay. So the PNPT, he just released this. Now, this is really cool. This is $300, so it's like right in the middle range of the fees and the certification stuff. But here's something cool that Heath did over at Cybermentor. If you need to retake it because you failed it the first time, they don't charge you for a retake. That's uncommon. Almost all of them charge for a retake. Second item, there are no maintenance fees, right? Heath is a practitioner. He understands the maintenance fees is kind of a, whatever. So not charging anything for that. Now, some people might argue that this is not an entry-level certification, and I would agree. However, this certification doesn't have any prerequisites. If you put in the work, if you put in the time, if you take the training, which is not free, right? You would have to pay for the training, but it's very affordable at Cybermentor that maps directly to this certification. You will be equipped and prepared to take this cert. Now, what's really awesome about this particular certification that I love, and you can see it in the description below, when we talk about certifications, a lot of times it's just knowledge. You can do exam crams, brain dumps, and all that stuff. What's interesting about this one, which makes you a legit qualified practitioner, is that Heath has set it up where not only do you learn or you get tested against being able to like do recon and kind of execute the cyber kill chain, right? Like find a vulnerability, exploit it, take the box. Maybe you do, I don't know, like get a flag or something like that to prove. But you also need to write a report, which is something all pen testers have to do. How do you communicate your findings to your actual client? And you actually have to do a live report debrief in front of the assessors. So you're getting real practical experience, right? You're not just, filling out a Scantron multiple choice bubbles and hoping for the best. What you're actually doing is it's almost like like an apprenticeship, right? It's almost like a vocational certification exam because you're validating that A, you understand the technical skills, and then B, you know the actual operational processes for executing the job of being a pen tester, right? So fantastic work. It's like no surprise that this cert in the training is mapped by a practitioner. It oozes practitioner quality and value. Okay, so let's move on to number 3. And I will do Q&A at the end as things come in. And I appreciate y'all helping each other in the chat. Number 3, and I love this one. Those of you who know cyber insecurity and Neil Bridges, the INE EJPT. And by the way, I put INE because they do the training. eLearn Security is the actual EJPT certification body, but they're kind of tightly coupled. So let's just go with INE's EJPT. Now, what makes the INE EJPT so really cool is that you get the certification, but it is being, I would argue, heavily recognized in the industry as a legitimate, desirable entry-level pen tester certification. So for as much as I say the Security Plus is the go-to cert for your entry level, right? It's wicked base. It's wicked. It's not specific to any role, right? It's just saying that you have knowledge around information security as an industry. The EJPT, this one is your entry level. Like it's almost funny because the E stands for eLearn Security, but I always think of entry level. Like it teaches you kind of similar to the Pnpt, like basic vulnerability assessment of networks. Understanding how to do manual web app pen testing, understanding information gathering and certification. Now, I don't know if it has a practical component to it the way the PNP does. If someone does know, put it in chat. But what I want to tell you guys is one of the really, really cool things that makes the EJPT stand out among the other ones in the space is that INE has a free training program that maps directly to prepping you for the EJPT. It's called the INE PTS, and I think it stands for Penetration Testing Student, but it's free. It's like 38 hours. I covered it last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever in one of my Simply Cyber videos on best free trainings. Check that out. But here's the thing. You can get all the training you need and then take this exam. This exam costs $200, which $200 is pretty affordable, right? I know not everybody has $200, but it's pretty affordable. And INE is running all sorts of promotions all the time. You might be able to get a discount on it. This is a sweet certification and one that everything is lined up for you to be able to be prepared to take that certification, right? And I didn't mention earlier, I should have, CyberMentor's Pnpt is $300 for the certification exam. Okay, so again, right there in the middle. Now, Maria had asked earlier, isn't Azure free? Well, good thing she asked, because we're doing the Azure Az500. Now, check this out. The Az500 is the certification that maps to the Azure Security Engineer Associate. And it covers these kind of 4 areas, right? Identity and access platform protection. You can read it. I'll tell you why. Now, a couple of things that I want to share with you. One, this comes up all the time. Cloud is such a new platform, a new paradigm, a new area, that a lot of the traditional infrastructure concepts, while some of them still apply, not all of them do. And we've moved from a perimeter-based defensive model to a zero trust architecture, which basically means you can't trust anything. And the identity has become really the most important thing to secure. It's not the only thing to secure, obviously, but it's one of the most important things at this point. So the amount of opportunity in cloud is super important. Now, another thing that you need to take stock of is that it's Azure and AWS. They are the big dogs in the room as far as cloud. Now, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, like Azure just got super serious about security, A, and then B, about getting cloud adoption. So you're seeing like a lot of big tech like Netflix, Amazon, kind of using AWS, obviously Amazon, but the traditional on-prem infrastructure, people like, whatever, let's say, Deloitte or Booz Allen or hospitals or manufacturing companies or whatever, they are just going into Azure because Office 365 has all of that Exchange, all of that Office apps and stuff like that you already have. And people are just naturally migrating up there because it's an easier transition than trying to figure out how to use AWS. A lot of the same concepts are being applied around like Active Directory and the idea of users and groups and stuff like that. So what's really, really cool is that there's a lot of opportunity, and you guys are going to love this. This is my favorite part. How do I share screens here? What am I doing here? Okay. You can do, this is the path, right? This is not my favorite part, but I want to show you this, right? So here's the path. If you want to get to this certification, you follow this yellow line. The Az900, which is Azure Fundamentals, which if you don't have any experience with Azure, it's free, and I recommend you do that. And then the Az500. Now, the Az900 does have a like $90 certification exam fee. You can take all the training for Az900 and not take the exam, so you're not out. The Az500 has all free training, and the exam itself is only $165. Now, let me share a different screen and see if I can pull this up for you guys, because I want to show you this. Check this out. Okay, so hopefully you can see this, right? So this is the Az500 exam, right? And you can see here's the $165. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. Let me just confirm. Yeah. So here's the $165. Here's those skills that I told you that they measured. And check it out. 2 ways to prepare. Online, free, absolutely free. If you go to, basically if you just Google Microsoft Learn Azure or Microsoft Az500, you'll get here. But all of this training is free, right? And you just got to take the time and go through it, right? Look at all this stuff. And it's really, really cool. You got to read it. They actually allow you to stand up kind of like VMs. You can stand up like your own Azure kind of tenant for free and play with it and do the things that they're talking about. So here's what I'm saying. For for $165 and your time, right? You got to invest yourself, your time. You can get certified as a Microsoft Azure Security Engineer Associate and be able to market that. And we'll spend some time in Q&A afterwards. And if you want, I'll pull up some jobs that we can look at this. But I'm just telling you, like I said before, we're in the golden age, man. Like you can get all this training for free. And for $165 to invest in yourself to be able to get a job or stand out, like I know that it's not free again, but like it's not prohibitive. Boot camps cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and you don't even get a certification, something that qualifications or job recs are putting as requirements. So there's just such value here. All right, let me jump to the next one because I know you all want to get to the Q&A. How do I do this here? Okay, let's move this. So Isaka Sysa. Now, check this out. I put this one on here. I want to preface this one, right? So I put this one on here because the red team gets all the love with the training and the certs, and the blue team's starting to get some love, and cloud's making its thing. But like GRC people, like we're kind of left in the lurch here, right? So I wanted one for my GRC family, and I want to qualify this one that, you know, Neil Bridges calls it, he's got his own terminology, but a great on-ramp for people getting into cybersecurity who are a little bit weak on the IT background side, or a little less comfortable with IT, or frankly don't have any IT. You can move in with audit under a GRC function, and it will allow you to learn basically some of the IT concepts on the fly, right? Because with an audit, you've got a standard of things that you're going to ask to execute a compliance audit, and you're going to be talking to engineers, network engineers, sysadmins, you know, legal, HR, etc. You'll be talking to them about all these different things, and you will actually start getting exposure, start getting concepts. If a sysadmin is telling you that this, and this is how we're doing that control, well, then it's your job as the auditor to write it down, obviously, but then you got to go off and like validate, is what they just said meet the requirements of this control, right? Because it's not always going to be as straightforward as like, you know, something as simple as, you know, does your passwords meet complexity requirements? And they just give you a dump of the configuration and you go, yep, it's checkbox, right? It might be something much more complicated. Like, you know, are you accurately understanding or engaging in threat intelligence collaboration with entities in your industry, right? Well, maybe they say, oh yeah, I subscribe to a daily newsletter or whatever. Like, does that qualify? I don't know, but, and that's a little less technical, but you get my point, right? There's these things that you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to learn how to do it. Now, the certification, or the cert that I'm talking about is the Isaka Sysa. Now, this is run by Isaka, obviously, and I don't know if you can read that, but basically it's going to show you how to audit, how to talk about governance and management, acquisitions, and resiliency. And these are basically the things that you're going to be testing. But at the end of the day, you're auditing typically against some standard, and the standard will cover these things. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, I do have this exam because I was an auditor for several years. This exam is $700, which is by far the most expensive of all the ones that I've covered today. So I implore you not to explore this cert unless you've already found the job, or you want to get in to this particular area, and you've got a job lined up, or you got a job that you're kind of targeting and it requires the certification, because $700 is no joke, right? We're talking earlier about $165 possibly being prohibitive. $700, right? So another thing I want to remark on, if you're listening to this, with the Isaka cert, or the Isaka exams, their exams, I've got two of their certs, the SISM and the Sysa. Their exams are a little bit more different than normal exams, where their questions, like, you almost have to buy their training material, because the answers to the questions aren't exactly mapped to what best practice would be in reality if you were actually doing the work. And it's like one of those ones where, like, you know, if you, like on the system side, if you have like an incident, who is the first body that you tell, right? Is it the board of directors? Is it management? Is it executives? Like, it's not what you would necessarily think. I think it's like legal or something is what they say, but you have to obviously answer the questions that they have. So anyways, okay, so that's the CISA one. Let's keep on going here. Okay, so certs alone, three-legged stool, right? Certs alone aren't going to do it. So we've covered 5 here that are great for entry level, can help you get a job, help distinguish you as a candidate. But experience, like skills-based experience, certifications, and higher education are kind of the 3 legs of the stool. You don't always need higher education, but some education on a specific area. I would argue that skills-based experience is going to be like the strongest of the 3 legs. And then certs certainly help quite a bit. They're not equally weighted, the 3 of them. Okay. if you are interested, I just want to point this out before we do open Q&A. If you are interested, if you got a cert or you're not sure how to like take a cert and like really highlight its value for you as a candidate, definitely check out this this live stream I did with Joe Hudson back in February, because it really ties here. Not like, so you go get the cert, but how do you sell it? How do you make yourself a more desirable candidate? Joe answered all these things, and I've got actually like resume templates that Joe provided on the simplycyber.io website that you're free to use, and I hope that you can take advantage of it. Okay, so let's move into Q&A here, and we'll see what's going on. All right, so stay with me. Here we go. All right, so Hans is a network engineer, which can be a good option to complement Hans's career. Well, again, Hans, it really depends on what you want. I guess based on what I just said today, I would check out the Azure certifications, honestly. Like, I don't know if your organization has gone to Azure, but so many are going to Azure right now. There's like a massive adoption to the point where I would actually argue that Azure is going to have a bigger footprint than AWS in the next couple of years. So a lot of value, a lot of return on your investment. So I would check out that. Jason used my QQ thing. Thank you, Jason. Once in the profession, why not just scale up with Udemy, Cyber Byte, or I forget what CBT is, et cetera, for free improved knowledge via home lab? No, this is absolutely a great point, Jason. And I agree with you. If you're already in the profession, absolutely do it. Absolutely do it. In fact, like I said before, getting skills, hands-on keyboard, being able to tell that story is invaluable. But sometimes with certifications, you get these basically gates, honestly, HR gates. You submit your resume, and because you don't have that certification, the automated tracking system just fires your resume into the trash can. So, there's that. Sometimes if it's you versus another candidate and they have the EJPT, which is highly desirable, and you don't, it could be the difference between them getting the job and you not getting the job. So those are some reasons to pursue certification, right? Maria asks, for entry level, how does Net Plus, CCNA, SSCP want to go for the differ path? No experience, have a BS in forensic psych, studied counterterrorism in Israel. Oh, very nice. Wow, that's great. Israel, by the way, is like a boss player on the global theater of cybersecurity. Okay, so for these items, Net Plus, CCNA, SSCP rank. All right, so here's the first thing I'll tell you about this. CCNA used to be hot. I have it, or I had it. I don't think it really relates anymore, really, because it's wicked specific to Cisco routing, and it doesn't really get too deep into security itself. Net Plus, I would say, Maria, if you don't have a good foundational understanding of networking, you should go get it. Having the Net Plus, I don't think is going to be a key differentiator for you as a candidate going for a particular job, right? So like, it's not like the hiring manager is going to look at the two and say like, oh, she has Net Plus and he doesn't, so she's going to get it. It much more indicates like, oh, this person understands networking tech. But when you're in the interview, there's going to be a question or two easily on networking concepts, or it's just going to come out like, like someone gets a phishing email, right? You said you wanted to get into differ. So Maria, explain this to me. Someone gets a phishing email and they click on it. How would you investigate what happened, right? So you're going to be talking about, like you'd probably look at the net logs and see where that link went, see if it went to a C2 server, see if there was any redirect, see if anything came back down. Like, so you would start kind of talking about the network traffic at that point. So it's going to come out. So I don't think that. Now, for the final one, SSCP, I would say SSCP and Sec Plus are kind of on the same level. I feel like SSCP is kind of easier for system administrators, like computer system administrators, but it doesn't hold as much gravity and weight as the Security Plus right now, unless you're looking at the DoD's 8570, because the SSCP actually has a lot of matrixing and value for that particular thing. So that's if you're going to go work for the federal government as a lab. Okay, so let me check out some other ones. Satyam, any lab free to practice? So, I mean, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but definitely check out things like you can build your own lab, right, using a Raspberry Pi and WebGoat if you want to do some pen testing stuff. I've got videos on Simply Cyber on how to do that. You could build a lab up in AWS for free. Eventually you'll have to pay, but you could do that. Rangeforce has some free modules that you can check out. So definitely you could do that. Is it valid to include Security Plus Expiry in resume? Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, you're documenting your work experience, right? If you say that you used to work at a hospital and now you work in manufacturing, it doesn't make your experience working in the hospital any less valuable. I would say if you put Security Plus and it's expired because you didn't maintain it and you don't disclose that it is expired, that could begin to call into question maybe deception or whatever. But for me personally, I've seen people do it. I certainly would do it if I wanted to include those certs on my resume. Just say expired, because that's true. I had the CISSP and I let it lapse. It's expired. You know, what's the problem, right? I mean, if you got a problem, then let's have a conversation about that. But also, you know, if you put SISP expired because you have the SISP and you let it lapse for renewal, you might be able to pass through one of those ATS tracking systems that's automatically checking for keywords and not actually evaluating the validity of it. Okay. Defending anything Microsoft is the best bet, in my opinion. Most enterprises use Azure and AD. Knowing how to defend the platforms are crucial. Robert Lemons, you're 100% right. 100%. I would say like 95% of all networks in the world are some form of Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Active Directory in a Microsoft environment, right? So we have MacBooks running around and we have Linux systems running around. You got Linux servers and mainframes here and there. But by and large, corporate networks are Active Directory. So I agree with you 100%. Is it worth taking CCNA cert for beginners? I wouldn't. Right. So CCNA is Cisco networking. For those of you who don't know, it's very specific. It's a practical exam. So you go into the exam and you're actually like configuring routing protocols and stuff like that. To me personally, CCNA is not a security certification. Back in the day when there weren't a million certs, a lot of people would get this. I went and got it. But nowadays, it's just not a security certification. And, I don't think it has a lot of value in our industry, honestly. Okay, question. For someone transitioning from finance to IT, hey, Benoit, which of these certs of today's is the best to get a job landing to blue team later on? Okay, so a couple things. One, there aren't a lot of blue team certs, which is why I didn't really include one. But to your particular question, if you're coming from finance, no IT experience yet, and you want to go blue, okay, let me think on this for a second. Okay. You're going to have a tough time. You need to get some IT experience. Now, you can do one or two things, Benoit. You can either try to go the GRC audit route and then pivot into blue team once you've got a little bit of like information security experience, or you can go, which basically so here are your two choices. One, you can get a job in cyber doing like audit and stuff like that and kind of flush out your IT experience and then try to transition into blue team if like the organization you're at has SecOps or something. Or the second option is to like do blue team training, like, do Rangeforce training or blue team labs online or any of these like that. Get the experience, maybe build some labs or something, understand how to use a SIM, understand like net flows and stuff like that. And then try to get a job as a tier 1 SOC analyst, right? It's going to be hard, but it'll take longer time. Now, the question I would ask you is like, do you hate your job? If you do, and you want to get something out of it immediately and get into that, go with the first one. If you like your job, go to the second one. You will probably have to take a pay cut, so be cognizant of that unless you're getting paid like grossly under after whatever years of experience you have in finance. It can be done. It's really answering the question of like what are your priorities, right? Like, do you need the job now, or you're willing to take anything, or can you continue to make good money where you are now and then pivot into the actual role you want? I have several. Oh, hey, thanks for the super chat. Hold on, I'll answer your question next, Jupiter. So what I will say is I have several videos on the channel around blue team and SOC analysts as a playlist, but Benoit, definitely look at that, because there's a high level of like burnout, mental health and stuff like that. Like, blue team's an awesome job and there's a lot of adrenaline dumping, but you can't just like punch out. Like, sometimes blue teamers, like it happened just last year, right? Christmas Eve, you got to work, right? So sometimes it can be tough. So just be cognizant of that. Let me jump down to Jupiter's super chat because this is great. Thank you for the super chat. Any advice for 601? This is my 4th time taking Sec Plus from previous 501. I'm good at practical, but test taking is my struggle. Yeah. Okay, so if you're having a tough time with test taking, what I would encourage you to do is, and this is not like the best practice, but like get a bunch of practice exams, right? Like the Security Plus is well defined at this point. There's a lot of practice exams that you can get. Get the practice exams, go through them, grind through them, take them again and again. You obviously want a couple. You're going to see the same kind of concepts, same kind of questions coming through. Get mentally focused, really prep. And I know that you're having a tough time taking these exams, man. But just I guess just exam, brain dump it, right? And like, I'm not saying that that's the right answer, because if you've taken it this many times, you're clearly studying the material. You're clearly familiar with it, right? But just to mentally prep yourself for that, get used to like taking those practice exams. So when you take the real exam, you're just sitting down and boom, you're cranking through just another practice exam. And by the way, you'll have the metrics of your practice exams to know where your areas are weak. That's another thing, right? Don't treat all areas the same gravity, right? So if you're particularly weak on the threat and vulnerability management side of the Sec Plus, then focus all your energy studying there, right? Improve your weaknesses. Okay, thanks for the super chat. What OS are you rocking and what do you recommend? Oh, hey, what's up, Mr. Sinvin? So I run a Mac OS 10 and I run Linux, right? So I have a Windows machine for my 9 to 5 gig. And I dabble a little bit with Raspberry Pi, Raspbian, which is a Debian flavor for my home labs and stuff like that. So I do have comfort on a Linux command line, but I'm not going to front. I will Google occasionally, like, how do I do this? Like, I know I want to, like, disk use space. Like, show me like where the biggest files are on my computer, because I need to free up some space. Like, I'll have to Google that. I Google it like almost every time. So that's how I roll. All right. Hey, Nunez. It's good to see you. All right. Any advice on taking CEH V11? I haven't taken CEH. I know it is a written exam. So maybe kind of the same idea I just mentioned for Jupyter's Sec Plus. Just kind of grind through a lot of practice exams, because it is a paper exam, and get used to kind of the format, the questions, the length. Mentally engage yourself for what that exam is going to be. And any areas on your practice exams that you're having a tough time in, because they're all bucketed by different categories, look at the categories that you're performing poorly in and focus your time and energy for studying on those particular areas. That way your investment of time is maximized, right? Don't treat all areas the same. Good question. All right, let me scroll back up, because I kind of went down for the super chat, and I want to give everybody some love here. Okay, so he completed Harish completed AZ900, so I can directly prepare for AZ500 without completing SC900. Okay, so basically in Azure training, the 900s are the foundational ones. The 500s are like the mid-tier associate ones. The SC is the security analyst or blue team analyst. What I would encourage you, according to Microsoft, you can go AZ900, AZ500, and then and get that cert. I'm in the middle of making video content for all those trainings and stuff right now. If you have the time, the training's free. There's no additional investment except your time. I would actually go look at the SC 900. Some of the training will actually map into AZ500, so you'll already have completed it. And I think it will give you a better appreciation and comprehensive understanding of what the Azure security suite, if you want to call it that, has to offer, right? The Defender platform. So not required, strongly encouraged, at least by one guy, me, right? Okay. All right. So Parthic's planning on being a pen tester. Certs such as Azure 500 would complement it. No, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt, but I wouldn't, if you got 1 hour of time to spend, I would spend it on PTS, INE's PTS, and get the EJPT, or look at OSCP ultimately, because that's like the golden certification on the pen testing side. If you can get OSCP by offensive security, I'm not saying you can write your own check, but that certification is not, in my opinion, an entry level cert, which is why I didn't include it here. But you can just march forward with that. So I wouldn't focus on getting it, Parthik, but it wouldn't hurt. But I wouldn't. Is Sec Plus enough to get a SOC 1 job? It depends on the SOC, honestly, right? So MSSPs, I mentioned earlier to the individual who asked about the finance job, I think Benoit, SOCs kind of burn through people, right? So it depends on the SOC, right? So the Security Plus is going to help you, but it's more about finding a SOC or an MSSP or an MDR where they're having a tough time keeping people, and be cognizant that you might have to take a job at a place that's kind of like grinding its staff down in order to get that experience, right? There are other options, there are other opportunities. So I don't want to say it's like the end all be all, but just be aware that that is one avenue, right? One of the questions you can ask in your interview is like, why is this job available, right? Did someone get burned out and leave? Is it a new position because you guys are growing? Like, what's the deal with this one? I mean, ask it professionally, but a Security Plus can get you a SOC job, but you're going to need more experience than what a Security Plus is going to tell you. You need to be able to understand what networking is. So go get a little bit of that experience. You should understand operating systems. Security Plus, remember, this is a big misconception, right? Cybersecurity does have technical pieces to it, but it's not IT. It is information security. It's its own animal, right? There is a Venn diagram overlap, but don't confuse it with like, if you get Sec Plus and that's all you got, that you understand networking enough to be able to talk about it at an entry-level cybersecurity professional. So go get a little bit of that background and experience, and then I think you'd be in a better position to sell yourself, basically. Best blue team resources. Narciso. So there aren't a lot of blue team certs, right? But on the resources, what I would encourage you do is look at, there's like a lot of great platforms out there right now. A Rangeforce, Blue Team Labs Online. I think it's Secure Blue Team is another one. There's just like YouTube, right? There's a bunch on there. Like there's just a lot. But the thing with Blue Team is you need, like Red Team, you can kind of like attack one machine, right? And scan and attack one machine. So it's easier to set up labs. With Blue Team, you need like telemetry and logs coming in from different endpoints and networking devices, and then have them aggregated and enriched into a SIM and be able to like look for stuff and run through simulations and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more complicated and tricky. One second. One sec. Sorry, production. So anyways, check out those platforms I just mentioned. I think that they would be excellent options. Oh yeah, Mark says learn Splunk or set up your own SIM at home. You can do that, but it's hard. It's hard, right? Like you need a server, you'd have to invest, or you could just drain your own resources. So also, Splunk could cost money. I would suggest like look at Graylog or Elk, the Elastic Stack with Kibana front end, if you want to try that. Oh, try HackMe is good. Also, Hack the Box. I have some videos on how to get into Hack the Box. I haven't played with Try HackMe, but the cool thing about Try HackMe and Hack the Box, not only do they have the technical attack piece, but now they have like education academy stuff on the side that you can learn like concepts and foundational stuff. All right, let me run through some more questions. Any advice for someone with A+, Net+, Sec+, but no paid IT experience or trying to get a job as a SOC analyst? Yeah, Lorenzo, as I mentioned before, certs are part of the stool, but you need more legs on it. So what I would encourage you to do, especially if you want to go SOC analyst, is see the answer to the question I just answered about getting that hands-on skill training, right? Rangeforce, Secure Blue Team Labs Online, Google Graylog, like you might be able to find some areas that have got it set up. You want to learn the terminology and the concepts that SOC analysts are using, right? So what is telemetry? What is threat intel? What is data enrichment? Like learn the concepts and the vernacular of the security operations center, and then start getting some experience with like the hands-on tech and stuff like that. That's really the best way to do it. I mean, good job on those certs, though. I mean, that's definitely showing progress. Entry-level certs for ethical hackers. Yeah, look at the EJPT. You can get the training for free with INE's PTS. So Joseph, Google INE space PTS space EJPT, and good luck. You'll be in a good spot right there. So for someone with no cybersecurity nor computer science experience, where do I start from? All right, well, Charles, depending on how much your IT background is, you need to get some IT experience just so you can talk the language and the lingo. Let me show you this. By the way, this platform is working so much better than the hot mess that I was running the other day. Okay, so Charles, check this out. This is cyberaces.org. I'll put the link in chat. There we go. Okay. Oh, hold on. You guys want this? There it is. Okay, so check this out. This is free. Right? Online courses, fundamentals of cyber. Check it out. There's 3 courses in here: operating systems, networking, and sysadmin. Like sysadmin, yeah, that would be useful, but these 2, super important. Networking, probably the most important of the 3. And you could see where how do I get in here? View tutorials. Boom, right? Here, I'll put this in chat as well. Boom, right? You can go in here. They show you how to stand up a VM, how to play with Windows, how to play. But then networking, you learn the OSI stack. You learn what's going on. I have a video on my YouTube channel around using Wireshark, which allows you to look at network packets. I'd encourage you to check that out. Basically, you've just got to open the fire hose, Charles, stick your face in the stream, and start drinking, right? Like there's a lot to it. And don't be overwhelmed, right? Just start drinking, get as much as you can, drink. You got to take a break, step out of the stream, jump back in the stream. You're going to find out quickly whether or not it's for you or not, which is awesome, right? Let's see. Yep, Blue Team Labs online. Thanks, Mark. I agree with you. Yeah, Security Plus. Yeah, for Security Fundamentals sim, absolutely. That's what Security Plus does. It is a fundamental, conceptual, baseline certification that tests your basic understanding of fundamental concepts, which you should have learned by running through a Sec Plus book or something like that. Okay. Again, Jupiter, thank you for the super chat. What OS am I rocking? I already answered. I'm just running through the comments, y'all. Top things I can recommend on the mental health issues with being a SOC analyst. Yeah. So check this out. You've got to be honest. I know, I know that mental health has like a crappy stigma in the industry, or not in the industry, in America, basically. But it's super important to be honest, like take a break, do things that you love. Don't get overwhelmed with particular, I'm looking for a live chat I had. Don't get overwhelmed with the work, right? Know that you're not always going to be able to resolve the issue. Know that you're not always going to be able to answer everything, okay? And that's okay. You just got to be honest with yourself. I've got a link. I did a video with JJ Davey that was just amazing. And we talked about mental health. This isn't it, but this is a good one. Oh, here it is. Check this out. You can see it in the chapters, right? That video, JJ Davey is a security operations center analyst. He's been working in a while, and he offers up some excellent thoughts around how to handle mental health as a SOC analyst. So I encourage you, almost it's like you asked the question to him. It's in that live stream. Check it out. Yeah, John, you're right. Use your PTO, find an outlet. Yeah, nailing it. Dude, John, I should have just looked at the next comment. John would have answered it for me. Thanks, John. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. The material, just exams. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jupiter. I guess maybe it's easier said than done. But for me, like I was very uncomfortable with public speaking, if you can imagine that. And I basically just leaned into it until I became comfortable. And now look at me. I'm talking to 91 people, but I'm staring at a camera, right? So I wish you the best. Please, if you can, circle back with me when you pass that Sec Plus. I would love to celebrate your accomplishment. Benoit doesn't want to hug the Q&A, but to keep going on what we discussed, would you recommend start red team to gain all the knowledge and then transition to blue once you know what better? I would encourage you follow your passion, Benoit. Like if you're into the red side and it gives you satisfaction, then go that route. If you're a blue teamer, you can transition into red and you'll be better equipped to understand how to circumvent blue team stuff, right? So like it's not one and then the other. There is a lot more opportunity on the red side for training and stuff like that. And the jobs pay somewhat better. They're a little bit harder to find, in my opinion, but you can flip flop one way or the other. Your call. All right, Maria's got a 2014 Mac laptop, i9 processor. Should I invest in a small Chromebook for Windows or keep my laptop? It depends what you want to do. I mean, if your laptop is working fine, I would keep going it. The Chromebooks are a little underpowered, but I don't know how they map up to the 2014 i9 processor. A lot of the training and opportunities nowadays are actually cloud-based SaaS solutions, so they don't really tax the resources of your machine. So, if you want, you can move to the Chromebook, but from a personal financial perspective, I would run that Mac into the ground and then look to update it. Would EJPT prepare you for Sscp? Yeah, I would say. I mean, the two are they're not mapped to each other, right? So I&E and offensive security are the two organizations, but the concepts are the same. Like you're learning the same skill set, the same discipline. So I would say, yeah. I mean, you could almost say that EJPT would get you the job, that gets you the experience that would better prepare you for Sscp. Again, Sscp could be, there's no prerequisites. You just go for it. So I would say, yes, it could help you. WG cybersecurity masters can be done fast. One semester. Wow. Okay. Getting a CAH included for free. Okay. All for a few grand. Is it worth, or is it more practical skills better a choice? Oh boy. So there's a lot going on here, right? So if you can get a master's degree, that's certainly going to help you from a value perspective. The CAH, that's kind of in turmoil right now in our industry, but there are still jobs that are seen requiring the CAH. Practical skills are desirable, but you can get those. You can get those outside, and I would think that practical skills and a master's degree would complement each other. Getting a master's in one semester is mind-blowing for me. I don't know how you do that. I have 2 masters, and I assure you it took me longer than one semester. Dang. All right. Yep, right here. John's calling it, man. MSSPs, they will grind you and spit you out, but you can get the experience you need and move on. Okay. Do you recommend Pluralsight e-learning platform for a SOC analyst? I don't have a lot of experience with Pluralsight. A good friend of mine, Dr. Josh Stroshine, he actually teaches on Pluralsight, like software exploitation. And I think if Pluralsight is one of those ones that you pay a fee to get access to the whole platform, then yes. But it's like, is Netflix worth $20 a month? Well, if you're watching Netflix all the time, yes. If you're not watching Netflix, is it worth it? No. Right. So if you're using Pluralsight, I know some of the people who put content on Pluralsight, and they are excellent at what they do. So there's value there. But again, it's like a return on your investment. Do you actually want to put the time in, right? Okay, a couple more questions, and then I'm going to boogie out of here. You guys have been fantastic. I love you. All right, so should I go for Net Plus exam or Comptia Sec Plus? Which one would be better for a beginner who knows some sort of hacking? Oh, well, I would go Sec Plus then. Because if you're understanding some of the hacking, right, hopefully you understand some of the network stuff. Again, I said this earlier, Net Plus, I don't think it has a lot of value, return on investment, right? For like job seek or hiring managers looking for skill. They want to know that you understand networking concepts. If the Net Plus is what demonstrates to them, that's fine. But I assure you, when you are in a job interview, you will be asked questions that somehow touch on your understanding of networking concepts, TCP, for example, or UDP or DNS. That classic question, classic question, when you put Google in a search bar and hit return, what happens, right? There's the whole OSI stack is in there. DNS is in there, right? Cloud pen testing. I don't know if there is cloud pen testing that I know of right now. I would check that Paul Jeremy chart. Go over and look at TCM Academy and see if Heath set up a training or a cert for that. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but let's see. Thanks. My pleasure, Narciso. All right. Thanks for the reply. My pleasure. All right. Jahid, can you tell me how I can be a SOC analyst and what kind of knowledge I need for this? What programming language is needed or mandatory? Programming languages, not super mandatory. I mean, if you want to learn one, Python's really good. Bash, you could cobble together something really quick. SOC analyst, you're going to want to understand, high level of like what a network topology looks like, networking concepts, security operations. You should have some foundational understanding of like how threat actors operate, what a C2 infrastructure is, not necessarily how it works, but what it is. Like when a phishing email comes in and clicks on it, what happens? If malware gets detonated in an environment, what does that mean? What's lateral movement? Those are some of the things that you should be familiar with. Okay. Wait, that's the question I just answered. Oh, congratulations. Caden passed the EJPT. Way to go, Caden. Should I study one of the gatekeeper certs like Sscp or CH or stick with INE? Oh, dude, if you can get the Sscp, go for it. Not only is that a, quote unquote gatekeeper, but like people in the industry recognize it as like a sick cert. So it's going to speak for itself, right? So I would encourage you to check out that Sscp, no doubt. Any ideas for cybersecurity skills for entrepreneurship? Yeah. I mean, you could spin up your own little consulting gig once you got some skills and help secure stuff. I got a video on my channel. It's one of my least popular videos. It's a live stream with a guy named Pete Preston on how to market yourself as a cybersecurity entrepreneur. Go into my live streams and check it out. Again, it's like one of my least popular videos, but that's okay. Any ideas on using cybers? Oh, wait, that's one I just answered. Hold on. Yeah, Mark brings up a good point. Owasp, which is like the Open Web Application Security, whatever. It's like the top 10 web app stuff. So if you're going to be pen testing web apps, if you're going to be securing web apps, if you're working for a tech company that develops web apps, you should be familiar with OWASP, especially if you're like a bug bounty pen tester person. Sandesh, would you help us selecting master's degree in cybersecurity would you help us for selecting master's degree? I don't understand the question. I mean, a master's is going to help you no matter what, right? So it's value. It teaches you theory and practical application, and it'll help you with your salary too, right? Because there's rubrics that they use for how much they're going to pay you, and a master's is definitely on the rubric. Is it good to get a master's in Berkeley on cyber? Hell yeah. UCal Berkeley is like MIT on the West Coast. Like definitely, if you got that opportunity, go for it. I hear a lot of people saying Python to learn first. Yeah, so Python's more, so PowerShell is like sysadmin for Windows systems. Python allows you to like extend other people's code. You can hook into Linux machines, Windows machines. They're both practical. I know Python. I'm trying to learn PowerShell. I see the value in it. But for me personally, PowerShell is good if you're going to be doing like malware analysis and you're going to try to understand what this piece of malware did. Python is good if you're like a practitioner and you're trying to use tools or extend tools or make like hack something together because you want to just like rip through an IP list and do something. That's kind of the two differences. Let's see, clearing my doubts on certs, and your YouTube videos are pretty awesome. Yes, thank you. Hey, my pleasure. You're welcome. Let's see, by $14,000. Yeah, I wouldn't. A master's from Berkeley, yes. A $14,000 certificate, only if there's jobs that are saying that they will do that, or more importantly, if they can do job placement through that program, if they can assure you job placement, then yes. Otherwise, All right, CH or EJPT, 100 out of 100 times. I won't get into it. Well, I'll just tell you basically, one's practical and one is a knowledge dump, right? So EJPT, you demonstrate your ability. CEH is you remember things. All right, there's certs for security researcher. No, not that I know of. I don't think so. Let's see. Yep, scripting is a little more important to be familiar with before programming languages. Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, I was a software developer. I use some Python, some PowerShell, some, VBA nowadays for my job, but the code isn't clean. It's messy, but it works, right? Free resource for learning Python. Oh man, there's a ton of them out there. In fact, there was just one on Udemy that was free that I put on my YouTube channel. I guess subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can see the updates, but it's gone now. But you can definitely find free training. If you go to Simply Cyber, Hold on, let's do this really quick, and then I'm going to get out of here, y'all. This is my website, right? Let me see. Yep. This is the free resources right here. I'm just going to type in Python and see what comes up. I don't even know. Look, PCAP Programming Essentials in Python, right? So this is network traffic. Let's see what else we got here. Python 3 Essentials. Here's a SANS cheat sheet. I guess that doesn't actually teach you. Well, I guess there's some resources there, but I would encourage you to just Google free Python training. You might even be able to get one off Udemy for a few bucks. So, okay. Yeah, here we go. Thanks, Rick Owen. Python Institute offers free entry-level training. Boom. Look at JJ Davey was a school dropout. I didn't even know that. That's good to know. All right, guys. You guys have all been fantastic. I've loved talking with you guys for the last hour. Sorry for the snafu at the beginning. Obviously, StreamYard works just fine now. I hope I answered all your questions. Thanks for the super chat, Jupiter. You guys be good, be safe, and stay secure. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Let me do my outro really quickly. Where's my outro? There it is.